Today we're going to be taking on Lesson 6, Active Buzzer. For this lesson we'll be needing the Eligo 2560, 2 M to F wires, the active buzzer, and a katana to chop down our enemies. Let's take a brief look at the lesson plan before getting started. The lesson objective is to generate a sound with the active buzzer. The lesson plan then introduces the buzzer component for the first time. They go over how active buzzers are DC powered and equipped with an integrated circuit. They also go over the difference between a passive and active buzzer. The difference is that an active buzzer has a built-in oscillating source, so it will generate a sound when electrified. A passive buzzer does not have such a source, so it will not tweet if DC signals are used. Instead, you need to use square waves whose frequency is between 2K and 5K to drive it. Let's quickly go over the wiring diagram. So, we have the D12 PWM and ground pin connectors used in the lesson. The ground wire connects into the buzzer's negative end, and the D12 PWM connects into the buzzer's positive end. For the code itself, the lesson surprisingly doesn't give much information about how it works, but we can take a quick look to see what's happening. The first line of code, int buzzer equals 12, assigns the buzzer to the D12 PWM pin. The void setup sets the buzzer as an output so it can be manipulated. Now the void loop is a little more complicated. I don't really code much. I'm getting into it, but I don't understand this at all. I'm sure if you understand C++, this is probably like the most basic it gets, but I did a little bit of research to understand it, and to the best of my ability at least, I'm going to try to explain it to you. Unside char I sets up a range from 0 to 255. Let's just keep that at that, right? I equals 0, semicolon, I is greater than 80, semicolon, I plus plus, sets up kind of a cycle. You could say it's an 80 count cycle, right? So everything that happens inside this code will cycle and loop itself 80 times over. Once it hits the 80th point, it will stop. And then this cycle will start. And this cycle will run for 100 iterations before stopping. Now, the inside of this code is kind of simple because we've seen this. They've showed this to us in some of the other tutorials in the beginning. It's setting the voltage high, which will set the frequency high, and then it sets it waits a millisecond, and then it sets the frequency low, which will, probably make the buzzer sound lower. And then it waits a millisecond before looping itself again. And then the same with this code, except it waits 2 milliseconds this time around. Okay, so now that we've gone over the code, let's build it.